別に雨宮のところじゃなかったのか。
帰ってきちゃった。
なんかあったのか。どうした？
止めて。
Originally, I wanted to start this video with going like boring, boring, predictable. And then Naori hit us with the end of the episode. And you know what? I'll still go with what I wanted to, but I'll be less obnoxious about it. I do think that overall the story is boring and a little bit predictable. You know, at the end of the day, June wanting to go back to Rumi and he's like, anxious and just like I can't let my Ruby go, my vulva. It's just a little bit predictable. Now, I do think that there's two major things that this episode introduced. One, June finally said it out loud that he loves both of them equally for different reasons. Did the harem route just open? And I think that's the most anime-ass thing that could happen. Now, if for some reason they both, for different reasons, accept June and loving them both, that would be the ultimate anime path. Now, I know, you know, we know, ain't gonna happen. At this point of the show, I do think Naori has the best idea. I genuinely think for some boy, because that's what he is, he's a boy at this point, you know, for some boy who is this lost in the sauce, and he's like, he really genuinely thinks, which it may not be the case. It's very much like if a person were like, you know, when you have these two individuals, right? Like if you've ever dated more than one person or something, if you were to think to yourself, you know, if I didn't see them anymore or as often, or if they were to move away, who would I genuinely feel like a part of me or a part of my life is missing? Whoever that is the person for you. Now, in his case, in June's case specifically, it's a little bit more difficult because he's basically been with these two girls, and he didn't see them as family, but he's been with both of them, and he originally had a crush on Naori, and he dated Rumi for a little bit, so that introduced other romantic feelings there. But he's been with them since he was a child, like a genuine child, and he's grown up with them. So there is some semblance of reality for when he says, like, you know, I do love them both. In love and love, though, are two different things. I think he does love them both. But who is he in love with? And I don't know if he even knows that answer. So that's the other portion of it. But I genuinely do think it's a little bit more difficult than if you were to date two random girls or that, you know, you don't have a connection with. It definitely is a different scenario here. But I do think it is a little bit boring and a little bit predictable that he's going to end up with Rumi regardless. Now, I was about to start a sentence, so let me finish it. Naori, though, I do think has the right idea. And I think because this boy is so lost in the sauce, as I started saying earlier, I do think it really comes down to who does he sleep with first. The reality of just how we work as humans, how we work as stupid monkeys, is when you sleep with somebody, and this is not everybody, I don't want a blanket statement, you know, some people can do without, but for the most part, I think most people would say that when you sleep with somebody, there is a connection that sparks, and genuinely it happens more on the woman's side than it does, or the girl's side, whatever, than it does the man. But regardless, for both parties, there's a connection that gets established there. It's even amplified even more, especially when you're younger and you're having your first time, right? Like you're losing your virginity. That is a moment that you never forget for the rest of your life. Now, you may forget number 9 or number 2 or 4 or whatever, and you may be like, oh yeah, I did do blah, blah, blah. But the first one you never forget, whether it's horrendous, horrific activity or whether it's beautiful, you never forget it. And I think that connection is super important. So for their specific scenario, I do think Naori has the good, like, not a good idea, because I don't want to call it a good idea, but I do think that she has what could make or break June's decision. Is once that path is open, I do think whoever is there first, whether Naori pulls off sleeping with him and genuinely sleeps with him, or whether Rumi gets there first by happenstance or whatever else, I do think that person he establishes that connection first will win out. The only thing that would throw a wrench is if he goes for one and then the next one happens right after. That could kind of introduce a lot of complexities. But I think if Naori can pull this off, I do think that she can come in and just swipe him away for the long haul. And that will change his feelings, because it genuinely does mean a lot for a girl, especially their first time, to give that to you. Like, that is like, that is them giving the most precious. Like, there's nothing more precious that they can offer you, I think, than that as a man, as a boy. And reciprocally, you know, for a boy to give that, you know, first time to the girl, I think there's really nothing more important in those younger stages of life that you can give. So I do think that it is going to be a big win if she can pull it off. I just don't like the fact that has to be the thing. And I think that her friends like Amamiya and the chief or whatever, I do think that they kind of have like the right, like, you know, hey, I don't know if the slutty avenue is the one you really go down here, but she's already kind of made that choice. And I do think that because he's so wishy-washy, ping-ponging back and forth between them, I think that that's the thing that make it or break it. Now, will it happen? I don't know. Probably not. So that remains to be seen on what ends up happening next episode. But I do like that it went down that path, because if it just stuck with what we're on so far, is everything just points to Rumi, because that is what he seemingly, June, our MC, can't let go. Is he just kind of keeps pussyfooting around his feelings about, like, you know, the fact that he genuinely likes Rumi and he didn't want to break up and blah, 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 blah. So he chose her once, right? Because she asked him out. He could have said no. He could have been like, no, I have feelings for an anime world. So I'll see you then, my friends. Peace.